But when I hit puberty, I started putting weight on. And by the time I was weighed in front of my entire 8th grade gym class for presidential fitness testing, I was heavy enough to garner immediate ridicule, despite the fact that I could smoke those clowns enough. Commentary and bullying became really commonplace in my life from peers and adults alike. And that all sort of came to a head around 2005 when I was in college, and I had just heard one too many fat ass comment, and one too many no one wants to see that comment while I moved my body in the ill-fitting and poorly functioning plus-size activewear of the early aughts. I knew I wasn't welcome in those spaces, so I quit. For a decade, I quit. But when I hit 30 years old, something shifted. Something snapped in my brain. And suddenly, magically, I did not give a shit what other people thought. Around the same time, my big brother invited me to go kayaking. He had the boat, I just needed to bring my own life jacket. So I went to a local recreational equipment supply store and was perusing the life jackets and noticed that there were many life jackets that would fit my budget but not my body. And I asked the sales guy about it, and he let me know in no minced terms that I would never find a life jacket that fit my body for that budget. So as I left the store, I tweeted my frustration and was immediately met with replies that amounted to this: fat people don't belong in the outdoors because they get injured, they die, and they're costly to rescue. First of all, I would love to see the weight disaggregated data on that because I've never seen a headline about a fat person getting lost in the backcountry. Second of all, you know who dies when their kayak overturns in 48-degree water? The person not wearing a life jacket, and they die of cold water shock, not hypothermia. But I bet if you did overturn in those conditions and you managed to survive cold water shock, the fat person would be more likely to survive because fat is both buoyant and insular. Anyhow, I did find a life jacket, I went on the trip, and I survived a squally day on the Hood Canal because I have the body of an athlete. In 2019, I started playing hockey and learned immediately that there is 0 plus-size women's hockey gear. So I play a contact sport in safety gear designed for someone with a different bone structure, a different body shape, and several inches taller than me. Then I started getting into water sports, surfing, swimming, kayaking, paddleboarding. But when I went to buy a kayak, I found that there were no sea kayaks wide enough to fit my body, so I compromised and bought a recreational boat. And when I went to buy a wetsuit, I learned that there are no plus-size women's wetsuits, period. So at more than 3 times the cost my straight-size peers, I went custom. There's actually currently a really big movement for body inclusivity in surfing, but it's relegated to warmer climates because they don't have the wetsuit barrier. There are reasons why you don't see plus-size participation in sports and activities that require more than just basic activewear. Some of them are sociocultural. Frankly, we have been bullied out of spaces. There's this really narrow window of socially acceptable activities that people in large bodies are allowed to do. We're allowed to walk, maybe jog, and go to the gym. But we have to sweat the right amount. Too sweaty, and you're fat and out of shape. Not sweaty enough, and you're not working hard enough. But the problem for me is that I hate those activities. In the limited time I'm on this planet, I want to do things that bring me joy and make me feel more alive and more connected. My friends, whether I sweat the appropriate amount or the inappropriate amount, I want to have fun doing it. I've been told my whole life that my body is the problem, that if I just manage to change my body, that I would have access, that I would belong. But I do belong, right here, right now in this body. You belong tonight in your body. I'm looking out of the room tonight at a room full of athletes. Some of you have very few barriers to access. Some of you, like me, have very high barriers to access. But all of us are deserving of equal access to the joy and connectedness that the whole wide world of sports has to offer. Fat people don't lack the capacity or the capability to engage in these activities. We lack the access, and it's time that changed.